Katie Hebert, a board-certified behavior analyst with Behavioral Innovations. We're working on a series of webinars for families who are looking for resources, starting their autism journey, and today's conversation is all about the importance of community and family. I'm excited to be here today with Jonathan Chism, who's a dad, an advocate, and the co-founder of Autism Dads Social Club in Houston. How are you doing today?
Excellent.
Good, I'm so glad. Tell us a little bit about what this foundation is that you have.
Yes, thank you for having me and this opportunity to speak about Autism Dads Social Club. We are a nonprofit that was established roughly about 3 years ago. And our two main goals are to create social connections for dads that have children on the autism spectrum, and also social connections for our children with autism and for our entire family. And that includes moms and if they're neurotypical siblings. And so we know that autism, typically a lot of kids struggle with forming relationships, friendships, social bonds. And so we wanted to create a space for our kids to strengthen those social skills, which are important component of life. Friendship. I mean, what would we do without the ability to make and have friends and meaningful relationships? So the organization began with two other dads. One dad, Emmanuel, we met at an ABA company. Both of our kids were attending the same therapy close to our house and community. And we found out that we actually live in the same neighborhood. And so we met a few times, exchanged numbers, and was like, man, we need to get together and do something with our kids. Yeah. And we sat on that for a while. And then I also came across another dad, Jesse. He is a history professor. Mm-hmm. And we both were randomly meeting to talk about our shared research interests, because he also has a similar specialty as I do. And in the conversation, it came up that we both have kids on the spectrum around the same age. And so we immediately began to connect and bond around that issue. And all three of us came together and decided that we wanted to establish the Autism Dads Social Club to create these opportunities for dads and for our families to build a closer community bond together.
Yeah. Do you find that there's a lack of communities like this, just in the autism community, support groups and things like that, but specifically for dads?
Exactly. And specifically for dads, that is the case. In doing the research, we found that there are a lot of moms, organizations, and groups. There are some dads groups, but it's all online. And so we started this really on the heels of COVID-19, when we all were experiencing lockdown and finally able to come out together and be in community once again. And so we wanted to do something where families and dads especially could get together and link up. And so, interesting story, I looked up one online community online, and when I was seeking for that community, they were holding an event, welcomed us to come and, bring some donuts. And I tried to show up, but I could not find the place. And I'm not sure what happened. Yeah. And so from that experience, I decided, you know what, I need to establish my own community and get with some other dads to create this needed space.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's something so far in having this community, since you said about COVID-19, what's something that you've seen be the most impactful for dads or families as a whole having this social circle?
Well, I think the most impactful thing is when moms, dads with autistic loved ones can come together in a space where they don't feel judged, where they feel understood, and their children are accepted for who they are. Oftentimes, when you have an autistic kid and you navigate the world, autistic kids tend to exhibit certain traits and characteristics that people question, right? With the stems, like why is the kid running in circles or rocking back and forth? And so you get stares. And so when we have our events, kids are able to be free. Parents don't have to feel the need to respond to questions.
Right.
Everyone is relaxed and is able to share connections and resources and have conversations that are meaningful for helping our kids get the services that they need.
Yeah. So I'd imagine in this group you have families and dads who are at any point in the process. So can you tell me a little bit about how your perspective and your life as a dad changed when your child was diagnosed with autism?
Yes. Initially, it was a struggle to accept the diagnosis and accept that my child is indeed different or, neuroatypical. But the change that took place within me was ultimately recognizing my limited ableist worldview. I mean, for a long time, I took being able-bodied, being quote-unquote normal for granted.
Yeah.
And so my kid with the autism diagnosis forced me to begin to see people with disabilities, that there are not only autistic kids, I mean, it's all types of people navigating the world with all sorts of difference and disability. And so with the diagnosis and accepting it, I began to become more open, more sensitive to people living with autism and various disabling conditions. And I recognize the need to advocate for them and to be in solidarity with them. Part of my background is in ministry. I accepted the call to preach as a teenager. And I've read the Bible several times, scriptures several times. And after the diagnosis and living with a son that has autism, it's influenced the way that I read scripture. Like the stories about disability, the passages about disability stand out to me. And so in a nutshell, my perspective, my worldview, the way I see the world has been transformed as a result of this experience. And quite frankly, I believe it's for the better.
Yeah,
because not only is my child autistic, but there are several other people on this journey.
Right.
And other similar journeys. And so it's beautiful to be in solidarity with them and to support them as we kind of create a world that is inclusive and respectful of diversity.
Right. In this journey for you, did you ever feel like you did not have access to the village that you seem to have created with this social club?
Absolutely. I felt isolated. And part of that probably was a result of my own struggles with acceptance and not knowing that there's other people going through the same thing and have kids that are similarly situated or diagnosed with autism. And so forming this community was beneficial for me as a dad, being able to ultimately be vulnerable with other men, because as a man, we tend to embrace an ideology that, I got this, that I don't need help, I'm independent, that all that I need to do is provide for my family and support my family. But ultimately, I think it's important that we move from a sense of pure independence to interdependence. And informing this community, I recognize that I need others, that I can't do it by myself. And I need some shoulders to vent to. I won't say cry on, but some brothers that I can, be vulnerable and transparent with about what's going on with me in my life. And we try to create that space for dads, that if you're struggling, if you're going through something, if you need help or support, you can come to the group and bring those concerns. And it's helpful to every dad to be able to just be open and not try to do this by yourself. Not only helpful to the dad, but helpful to the entire family. Because as a result of starting the Autism Dads Social Club, my family has benefited immensely. I've learned about services that I didn't know about. Right. I was able to plug into a network through hopefully trying to establish a network. And so it's been extremely beneficial.
Yeah. Even still, I learned about resources that I had no idea existed. And so to have all of those be able to come together in, one pretty vast community, I can imagine is incredibly helpful for families. So what would you say to a dad or a parent or family who is just now beginning this journey, feeling like they don't have any resources or anyone to talk to? What would your main advice be to them?
I mean, a few simple words. You're not alone. That you have other dads, other parents that are going through a similar situation. And so don't feel that you're by yourself. And so you can reach out to the Autism Dads Social Club through other support networks online to start to get connected. And in doing that, you can learn about the resources that are available to support your child. And I would also encourage dads to start to read, and this will dispel a lot of misconceptions about autism. Because within the public, there is a deficit model that focuses on what autistic kids can't do instead of focusing on what they can do. And so one of the things that I found very helpful is to start to read books written by autistic individuals. I mean, Temple Grandin is a very popular person, but there are so many others that have created books. You can listen to audiobooks, and they will kind of enhance your perspective of how autistic people navigate the world. And in doing that, it's helped me be a better parent to my son and be more empathetic, more understanding of their viewpoints, how they're seeing the world, being less judgmental, more compassionate. And so read as much as you can, and especially books and works written by autistic individuals.
Thank you for sharing your personal life and some of your personal background. You spoke a lot about the importance of the community and the village that you've created here. So I really want to, dive in a little bit deeper to that. So you and your wife are both advocates, and she's a physician. So how have you built a strong support system for your son?
Well, personally, the important thing is building a team. And after you accept the diagnosis, and oftentimes that's something that is hard for parents to do, but accepting it is the most important thing, because then you can start to do the work of getting the support that you need. And that is the ABA therapist, the speech therapist, the OT therapist, and other therapies that are beneficial, getting access to accommodations at your school. Imagine not having the diagnosis and not being able to get those services that are beneficial for your child. And so that's the first thing, is accepting and moving forward to build a team. And what my wife and I have tried to do is to make sure that all members of the team are communicating with each other, because sometimes a therapist does not know what the speech therapist is doing, and Vice versa, what's happening with speech is disconnected from ABA.
Yeah.
The school is disconnected from speech or ABA. So getting everyone to work together, to be coordinated, is important for paving the best road possible for your autistic loved one.
Yeah.
And I would also say I really appreciate the coaching that we have received from ABA therapists. Like, I feel like I've been in so many parent trainings that I almost know ABA, right? I could become a therapist perhaps if I wanted to go down that route. And a lot of parents with autistic loved ones end up becoming ABA therapists
We do
because
see
of
that often.
right working with their autistic children. And so the coaching is very significant. Take advantage of it as a parent. And the last thing I would add is in terms of advocacy. I recognize that my wife and I are both privileged. I mean, I'm a professor, my wife is a physician, we have good insurance, but I know that a lot of autistic kids are not getting the services that they need.
Right.
They are not getting ABA, they are not getting accommodations at school. And so the advocacy is ensuring that everyone has equal access to those services that are needed to help kids with autism.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we're trying to collaborate with other organizations to do.
What does this community look like in real life?
Yes, so in real life, this community is one in which everyone is welcome, accepted, and embraced for who they are. And that is important. Coming from a background of African American history, being a person of color, one of the things that is important to me is loving and embracing my identity as a Black man. A song that I love is from the soul artist James Brown. Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. And so I would love for the autism community to really embrace autism and neurodiversity as something to affirm and be proud of rather than to be ashamed of.
Right.
Because we do live in a world that stigmatizes people because of their differences.
Yeah.
But it is important that when folks show up to our community, when parents show up, they affirm their kids for who they are, they love them for who they are, and recognize that every human being is different. And our diversity is a gift of humanity. And so our autistic kids, despite their diagnosis, they're more than that. They are a unique human being. They're not just autistic. They're so much more. And so it's important to appreciate all of who your kid is.
Right.
And so in our communities, we try to do that. And then for us, the support looks like respite. We acknowledge that rearing a child on the spectrum is not easy.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a challenge. And so it's important that parents are prepared to be the best that they can be for the long haul. And so we provide respite opportunities for dads to get together, to take a break. And we encourage dads. Yes, we know you have to provide for your family, have to work. But to be the best parent that you can be, take a break. And so we'll get together, shoot some pool, go bowling, we're going fishing this month, doing some fun activities or just meeting up at a restaurant and hanging out together.
Yeah.
And I find that rejuvenating for parents that are on this journey of rearing beautiful, wonderful children with autism.
Yeah, absolutely. So often we hear, destigmatizing things, and, I always like to refer, it's a child who has autism not an autistic child, right? And I think that shifting that perspective can be really important to a lot of families, that you do not have a child you have a child who is diagnosed with autism. They are not autistic, all encompassing, right? They are a whole human that has thoughts and feelings and emotions, and should be treated as such. So I appreciate you saying that. I want to touch a little bit on the access to care, like you spoke about. What would you say to families who don't have the same privilege that other families are allotted? How would you encourage them to build a community outside of therapies that insurance pays for and things like that?
Yeah, I would encourage families to do the research. You have to find the support that you need.
Yeah.
It's out there, and sometimes it's a hard find. Combing through Google, through Facebook, there are resources. And secondly, I would encourage parents to take advantage of opportunities to show up when groups organize programs for kids with autism or for the family. We've organized several events, and oftentimes we have quite a few people show up, but I feel like more people in our autism community could show up and benefit. And so take advantage of existing resources and services that are out there. And then the last thing is, if it doesn't exist, it's possible to create it.
Yeah.
And Autism Dads Social Club is proof of that. We are an example of building what you envision. And in fact, that's one of the special parts of what we do that I love deeply. The autism diagnosis has given me a sense of purpose. It's renewed my vision on life. And so it's wonderful to be able to be a part of a mastermind group of dads that have a similar perspective and come together to imagine and create, curate opportunities for our families, for our community. There are many wonderful things that we haven't done yet that we want to do in the future. And so it's a lot of fun just being creative and organizing new things that are bigger than yourself and your immediate family.
Do you mind explaining a time or maybe a milestone in your son's life where it happened and you were very excited to share it with the community that you created or your team, as you spoke about?
Yes. Well, there are actually two moments. One was when my son finally learned to ride a bicycle. I had been taking him to OT therapy, and we had bought him a bike for Christmas and tried to get him to ride it, and it was a struggle. And so when I took him to OT, the therapist was working with him on the bike. And so my assignment was to practice at home. And it was a struggle, but I was determined that, okay, we're going to do this. And so I literally had to, because of the coordination challenges, help his feet pedal the bike. And this was with the training wheel.
Yeah.
And eventually we stuck with that every day, kept going around the neighborhood, and finally he learned how to pedal the bicycle with training wheels.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take one training wheel off. And so he learned how to balance himself with the one training wheel, and we would do that and go around the neighborhood. And so finally I was like, okay, I think he can do this. And I took both of the training wheels off. And it was amazing when he finally was riding the bike around himself, and seeing his face, his laugh, his smile as we're riding the bicycle through the neighborhood. And so that was something that I didn't initially think, man, can he do this?
Right.
But with practice, with perseverance, I believe that many of our autistic kids can accomplish a lot of things.
Right.
But we have to provide the accommodations. We can't give up on them. And Other example, tying his shoes. And so I was inspired by this book, How Can I Talk If My Lips Don't Move? It's written by an autistic young adult named Tito. Tito, like my son, is nonverbal, but he writes poetry. He exhibits a lot of amazing creativity and gifts. And that really inspired me. I looked Tito up on YouTube and saw how his mother worked with him. And so I was like, man, okay, I can teach my son some things. And so I started working with him on tying a shoe, and we would do hand over hand and break it down into simple steps and repetition. Using ABA, give them tokens. All right, you did this 10 times. Here's your token.
Right.
You did it 10 times. Here's your token. And so finally, we kept doing that and progressing with the steps. And he was able to tie his shoes completely by himself. And so as a parent, that was a moment that I celebrated with my dad's group, with my family, because it shows that our kids can become independent, can do a lot of things if we provide the support, the coaching, be patient with them. As they learn, they can grow. And so I'm inspired by other milestones that he will be able to accomplish in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. The perseverance of some of those skills is the key, right, in building them. And I'm sure that your other therapy providers were also very excited to hear about those 2 milestones, because those are big ones. Those are big ones. And even one like riding a bike, that gives you opportunities to your family go outside, go on walks, go around the neighborhood, go down the street to get ice cream. So that's that's one that could potentially be a door opener, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's one thing you wish you could tell your younger self, thinking back to maybe day of diagnosis? What's one thing you know now that you wish you could tell yourself then?
I would say the single one thing, and we've touched on it, is to recognize that your child is a unique human being. That the diagnosis does not entirely define who he or she is. And so there was a book that I read by an author, I think his last name is Present. It's called Uniquely Human. And that book really opened my perspective to understanding autism from a human perspective and point of view. Oftentimes, autistic kids are dismissed as irrational. Many of their behaviors are misunderstood. And so as a parent, it is important to listen and to try to understand why they are doing what they're doing. And so I would encourage my younger self to be empathetic, to listen. And my child is human. There's a reason for the stems, for example. It's not just irrational behavior, but it provides some form of comfort and peace. It soothes and relaxes them. And so when my son stems, I don't necessarily judge him for those behaviors. Sometimes if it's giving him peace, I may join him, right? If he's throwing a blanket over his head and finding joy in doing that rather than saying, stop, hey, let's play with this blanket together.
Right.
Let me enter into your world.
Yeah.
And experience life from your vantage point and perspective. Let's use this as an opportunity to connect and grow together. And so I think that's been helpful for Jay. Hopefully he recognizes that his dad loves him unconditionally, accepts him. And I encourage other parents to do the same, that your kid is human. A lot of their behaviors, you may not understand it, but it's a reason, it's an explanation behind it, and listen.
Absolutely.
Listen deeply.
Absolutely. And what's one thing that you would like for Jay to know always?
I would love for him to know that his dad loves him unconditionally, that his family loves him unconditionally, and that we will always be there to support and to care for him and to give him whatever he needs.
So I want to do a little piece here that we're going to call Dad Truths. I'm going to say a phrase that may be commonly a misconception or something that dads may be asked, and I want to just get your initial gut reaction to it. First, it's okay to cry.
Absolutely. Crying is human. It is being vulnerable, and it's important that dads embrace being vulnerable.
You don't have to fix everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some things you can't fix, you can only accept. I believe in the serenity prayer. Lord, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And there is grace and peace that comes with that, not fixing everything and learning to accept certain conditions and live with it and embrace it.
Your marriage, your relationships, and your family dynamics will be tested.
Absolutely. Not everyone in your circle will understand autism. Some will judge your kids because of their differences. But what the heck? You have to live your life.
Right.
And you have to allow your kid to live your life. You only have one life to live it to the maximum. Take advantage of this limited time that we have on earth. And if some people can't get with the program, then move on.
Right.
Move on and find people in the world that support you and love you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then last, a diagnosis does not change your child. It changes your lens.
Totally. The diagnosis has changed my perception of the world, how I see the world. And it's a beautiful thing. There are so many people that have disabilities that we need to recognize, acknowledge, and see in this world. And it gives us an opportunity to create a world that is more accommodating, more inclusive, more just for all people. And so that's the lens, that we need to do something that is larger than ourselves. And with our children's diagnosis, use this as an opportunity to make a better world.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for being on our show today and sharing your perspective and your personal life, your vulnerability. I think that's incredibly important for families and dads to hear. So we really appreciate you being on with us today.
Thank you, and I also appreciate this opportunity, this space to be vulnerable, to share with other dads, with other moms, with other families. We are in this thing together. We are a community. We are a family. We can't do it by ourselves. No. We need each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you to everyone who's watching. We hope that this gives you something to hold on to, something to be hopeful for, and mostly to let you all know you are not alone. If you are looking for more resources or wondering what support might look like for your family, we encourage you to go to behavioral-innovations.com for more. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.